Hey folks, this is Dr. Emily Sherning with American Resiliency. I believe that we're in an important time in history where the choices we make will have a profound impact on our communities for years to come. Because change is coming. I want to talk with you a little bit today about that change. When I founded American Resiliency in 2021, it was an expression of a long held dream. I wanted to do it for a long time, since 2015, when I was working with the public on climate education. And in 2015, climate was a lot more socially controversial than it is now. There was a much higher proportion of the public that was skeptical about climate change. In 2015, through that work, two things became really clear to me as I got really into climate and working with people on climate. The first thing was that we were not likely actually to meet the Paris Accords and limit global warming to 1.5 C. Seemed likely to me that we were going to go at least to 2. No one was talking about it. No one was really putting any measures in place to build resilience against change. We were still pretending change wasn't going to happen. The second thing that became apparent to me was that the American people, the American general public, were and are not the barricade to change as they're often presented in the scientific professional climate community. When people get information they can use, when people can focus on getting ready, on getting their communities together, they want to act. We all want to act. People want to act. And the more I've learned about climate and about current governmental plans for climate action, the more deeply I've come to believe that the American people and American communities need a source of climate information that speaks to us because we need to get ready. No one is going to do it for us. No one is coming to save us. We are the cavalry, right? And I don't mean to say that there's no progress being made. There's more funding for climate resilience infrastructure. We hear more about resilience and adaptation in the news, although increasingly it's like, are these AI generated stories or are they based on what's actually happening? I don't know. Either way, I think most of us are aware what is currently happening is not enough. Building climate resilience at the individual level, the household level, the community level is something that has to come from us. There are an increasing number of firms and consultation groups that are working to help communities prepare for climate change. This sort of professional assistance tends to be very expensive service, and they're not the kinds of services most communities can afford. Definitely not communities like mine. If you're talking about small communities, communities well outside of urban centers, we're priced out. Communities like mine that have managed to preserve culture, to preserve distinctive American ways of life, are priced out of the green economy in many ways, in significant ways. And this is why I have this mission. This mission in American Resiliency, we are a nonprofit, and nonprofits operate on a mission basis. Our mission is to uplift and protect American ways of life in a changing world. Because I don't want to come into a future where everything is the same, where anywhere in America I go, I can eat the same corporate food and experience the same dramatically reduced biodiversity in service of that, and see all the same logos, and no place feels like itself anymore. I feel like that's where we're going, and that we have to resist that with work on the community level. I really hope that American Resiliency gets you information that helps you do that work on the community level, helps your community remain strong enough to remain distinctive. When I started this work with American Resiliency, it took me a while to get going, right? I mean, 2015 to 2021 is a long time because I couldn't obtain funding from typical climate sources. And that was related to my mission that I just described there. I heard lots of times when I would describe my mission a real sense of fear about if the wrong people would get climate information, about if the wrong people would understand what's coming for us. When I was processing data for the 50 States Project and putting it online, I got more and more feedback around this fear from some parts of the professional community that working class people, particularly in flyover country, might get this information and engage in self-determining action. I don't know how to tell you, but that it became increasingly clear that my people were the wrong people. And when I say my people, I don't just mean the people of the small town in which my family lives. I mean the people in like every scary, weird little town across the country where throughout my life my car is broken down, I was traveling, or where I stopped for a meal, or where I stopped for the night. And people there helped me. These are my people, regular American people, working class people, the kind of people who will help each other out in a jam. And we're all over the place. What does it matter if people like this get accurate information based on high consensus science and started doing things for themselves? If we didn't stick to the plan, which of course is intended to continue funneling resources towards the few and towards corporate resources as we build our new green economy, right? I think coming from someone who was in a leadership position, an institutional leadership position in 2020, it's because almost all of our current institutions are really focused on keeping people calm at all costs, to keep the system running at all costs. When you look at the consensus science at this moment in American history, calm is not an appropriate response. The current systems are not the appropriate response to the level of change that is just on the pipe. It's not really a 5 years away problem anymore. After my experiences in 2020, I wanted to focus on being alive now. I made radical changes to my life. I feel a profound need, personally, to detach from some of our current systems to the extent that it's possible. I know there are a lot of us who feel the same way, who want to live a more resilient life, a more sustainable life, focused on our communities and their well being, on creating local food systems, on creating local support systems, on getting ready for these changes that are coming on a local level. When I founded American Resiliency in 2021, I wanted to do my best for you. My dream is to be a lighthouse for you, to help you look at the risks ahead so you can get ready. To my knowledge, American Resiliency is the only nonprofit organization focused on communicating this consensus science information to the American public. We don't pay for advertising. I really don't operate on a click-driven basis, but our audience is growing every day. So far, we've reached about 80,000 unique individuals. You should know, I hear more and more every week from people in positions to do something. Local government officials, people who run architecture firms, people who organize community services. The people we're reaching, we are the right people. The people who are going to do what we can to take care of our communities, who want to understand the changes to come as best we can in service of that goal, in service of community resilience. And now we have, new information. Now we have the NCA5. I'm reading through that now, seeing if and how consensus science projections have changed. As a person who's very interested in food systems and biodiversity, honestly, the NCA5 is really cheesing me off. I want to show you a figure that typifies why. Check this out. This is a very typical figure showing how coral reefs are equivalent to people and to dollars. This is gross. It's like a fundamental violation of the value of life. So I keep pushing through. I'm trying to see what useful information I can pull out. I'm going to be producing updated climate outlooks for 2050 for all 50 states over the next few months. And I'll be keeping you abreast of other realities too, because I am not focused on keeping you calm. There's a lot of evidence coming out in the last 6 months. We look like we're cruising pretty close to tipping points. I've been talking about the ocean temperature and sea ice news all summer before you might have seen much of that on the mainstream news. And let's flop there. Here we are back on Zach's awesome site. Well, I started showing this to you back in like July and August from my basement and the basement update, where you remember this size of anomaly was just really scary looking. You can see the Antarctic sea ice anomaly, the difference from the mean is still substantial. It's still a major outlier. It's not as dramatic as it was now, but still concerning. Looking at the global sea ice anomaly, this is where we were in the summer. This was how far we were off the models. You can see that we're returning to a more modelable norm. So like I say, I'm not ready to declare that we have hit a tipping point, but like we're cruising pretty close to a danger threshold here. I feel like we can just see it in these figures. In other things that are happening now, in things that are not going to have made it into that fifth national climate assessment because they've happened too recently. And you should know, we're not going to get an update. We're not going to get new projection figures until at least 2027. It's mandated to occur only every 4 years. 2018 was the last release date, so we know there's an inclination to push it, right? So NCA5 is what we got. We have to keep an eye on what is happening now. Even in USA Today, there's reporting that we have crossed the 2-degree threshold for the first time, reported by the Copernicus Institute in Europe. For those of us who have European interests, this State of the Climate 2022 is a pretty recent report that'll give you good on-the-ground information for Europe. With the likelihood of a continued strong El Nino system through the beginning of the year, through the beginning of the 2024 growing season here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have to admit, just looking at what's happening now, we may be entering uncharted territory. We're either skirting the edges of the models or off of them. It's very serious. And it's really why I think a resilience mindset is appropriate and perhaps the best response to this sort of uncertain conditions. When we have a resilience mindset, it helps us deal with the realities of these uncertainties. I'm personally not at the point anymore where I'm looking at the 2050 outlook, like in the NCA 5, for absolute answers. I want to know what's predicted. I want to try and right size the threats for which I'm preparing, and I want to be ready to roll with things. It's not like climate is the only destabilizing factor we're currently dealing with at this moment in history. So, let me be real with you. This is a Giving Tuesday video. I do hope you'll support our mission, that you'll help American Resiliency be a lighthouse for all American communities so we can all access the highest consensus science paid for by all American taxpayers. My work is funded through September of 2024. It's funded by my family's radical commitment to this cause. We make sacrifices so I can do this work, and I feel extremely fortunate to have been able to take 3 years of my life and put my professional focus on getting the word out and building the healthy community we have growing here on the channel. It's made out of people with hope, people who are action-oriented, and people who want to get ready. And I'd like to note also people who are really supporting the mission in a big way. I don't have an interest in making a lot of money, and I don't need a lot of money to keep this project going indefinitely. Thanks to the community support, I'm only about $450 a month away from getting off the financial runway to committing to a 4th year of the project and being able to be like your mad scientist forever. I think that's amazing. I think it's very exciting. If you want to contribute, go to the About page of the channel or to my website, AmericanResiliency.org. You'll find a donate button in either of those places where you can contribute through PayPal. The donations get to us same day. I do my best to get back to everyone same day. Get them a tax deduction receipt with American Resiliency's information as a nonprofit registered with the IRS. Plug over. Don't hurt yourself to donate. If you need everything you got to build resilience, that's the right choice for you. But my mentors, other people who have founded nonprofits, people who have achieved big community impacts, people who sit on my board and can yell at me, they've told me they will yell at me if I don't make this video. So not only have I found their advice generally to be sound, but I did already set up meetings where they could yell at me if I didn't do this. So I'm very happy that now I can avoid these altercations. I'm focused on the months ahead. That's what I'm focused on, is the rest of this runway. This is an important window for getting information out. I think things will come together if I keep doing good work, and I'll keep you all updated. I think that by September of 2024, by the time I run out of my runway funding, we'll have a clearer idea of if we've hit a tipping point. I think with the El Nino system continuing, more and more people will realize in their bones how serious this situation has become. And I hope more of us will be able to get ready on the ground. Build resilience, a healthy, forward-looking, eyes-open mindset. There's nothing you need to do for me to continue working to get you the best information I can until that point. I'll be producing content about cultivating resilience, content about high consensus science, and I'll be continuing to follow up on my beef with the Forest Service. You can see here, this document that they said was published in September is out now, thanks to the community help tracking this story. This came out just about 9 days ago. I'm continuing to do follow-up work. Just as a side note, this delayed publication stuff where they keep the old date in, came out in November, they say it's published in September. Presenting non-published work as published should be a sign to all of us of some pretty serious systemic dysfunction in governmental systems. May not be a huge surprise to you, but I find it very disturbing and I find it motivating as I focus on what I can do and the freedom that I have being outside of these systems. Thanks for being here with me as I explore all this stuff, as I get to devote so much time to research and learning and thinking and doing and sharing all of that with you. I want to say how much I value the community support I get here. The messages I receive, the gifts everyone gives of time, of money, the seeds that people share with me, all of that really keeps me going. I spend a lot of time looking at stuff that is very depressing. But you all sustain my hope. You really do. I'm glad we're getting ready together. And thank you for listening. Let's take a minute, folks. Let's highlight the next community chat. I want to hear from you. Let's talk about what's going on the ground. That's going to be coming up Sunday, December 17th at 2 p.m. Central Time. I'll be promoting this link throughout the month and on the channel. I hope to see you there. And I want to thank from the bottom of my heart everyone who contributes. We've had a lot more supporting donors come in the last month. We have volunteers starting in new projects. I'm very excited. We have our group of volunteers meeting on December 7th coming right up to go over the draft process we're going to have for the NCA 5, a team of people working from various professional walks of life to make sure that we are going to be providing fact-checked, high quality information to help you get ready for each of the 50 states. Thanks again for being here. Look forward to getting you information that you need. Bye.